Hi, this is Richard Klein. I'm assisting the Alliance for Cleaner Elkhorn Lakes and Streams. This presentation takes 18 minutes. Please hold your questions until the end. Thank you. Most Howard County homes are about a 5-minute walk from a stream or a lake. Few are as child safe and enjoyable as they should be. The greatest health threat is posed by sewage released from sewer lines. In the last 2 years, there were 64 incidents in Howard County where up to 1 million gallons of sewage overflowed from sewer lines into our waters. Though far less dramatic, but still a concern, is the small sewage leaks from pipes connecting each of our homes and businesses to sewers. Pet waste washed into our neighborhood waters with each rain poses another health threat. Though sewage overflows and pet waste seem like infrequent events, the problem is you can never know if and when either will affect water safety. So parents tend to err on the side of caution and forbid children from playing in neighborhood streams, especially when the streams look unappealing or suspect. The good quality stream on the left looks inviting. The poor quality Elkhorn stream, not so inviting. In the 1950s, my friends and I spent many days enjoying White Marsh Run, just northeast of the Baltimore Beltway. At that time, the run supported a dozen species of fish, along with crayfish and salamanders. Then the Beltway was built across the headwaters. A sewer line opened the forested watershed to development. By the late 1960s, only one fish species remained. The stream is no longer a great place to wade, swim, and enjoy nature. A friend of mine even said her dog smelled unpleasant after splashing in the run. Once, Lake Elkhorn was a place where parents allowed children to wade. It was also a great place to paddle and fish. This is no longer the case. In fact, area residents refer to Lake Elkhorn as the swamp because of the murky waters, algae, and other scum floating on the surface. Jackson Pond and other Elkhorn lakes are equally unappealing. Here you see Howard County stream sampling results. Green triangles denote good quality streams, red streams are poor. Note there are relatively few good quality streams, and they're mostly in the western rural areas where few of us live. The streams nearest most Howard County homes have red triangles, meaning they're in poor condition. I suspect that 80% of Howard County residents don't realize that waters a short walk from their homes are something less than child safe and enjoyable. And I doubt that many realize these waters could be of far better quality and far more valuable neighborhood assets. Few Howard County lakes are in good condition. How can you tell if a lake is in good condition? Well, water clarity is an indicator. In a lake that's enjoyable for paddling, fishing, and wading, you can see the bottom at a depth of 7 feet or more. In lakes overgrown with algae due to excessive nutrient inputs, you can only see down a foot or two. You seldom see people paddling on these troubled lakes or children wading in the shallows, and fishing isn't all that great. In the remainder of this presentation, I'll present a plan for restoring Elkhorn lakes and streams to a cleaner, more child-safe, and enjoyable condition. Once successful, this plan could be a blueprint for how all other Howard County lakes and streams could be enhanced. With regard to Elkhorn lakes, all are in very poor condition due to excessive amounts of nutrients entering these waters. The 7 miles of Elkhorn streams are also in poor condition due to metals and other toxic substances washed from rooftops, streets, parking lots, and lawns. Once these streams had much more water in dry weather, but covering the land with buildings and paving prevents rain from soaking into the earth. Without this groundwater recharge, high-quality dry weather inflow to streams and lakes diminishes, and so does their value to aquatic life and people. Here you see the 6 major Elkhorn lakes. Lake Elkhorn, the 3 Sewell's Orchard Lakes, Jackson Pond, and Dobbin Pond. So what might the Elkhorn Lakes be like if our plan sets the stage for the measures essential to enhancing these waters? Well, Piney Run Lake, just over the Howard County line in Carroll County, may provide an example. Piney Run Lake is great for paddling. Few people paddle the Elkhorn Lakes. Piney Run Lake is a designated fishing hotspot. None of the Elkhorn Lakes have this designation. You often see children wading in Piney Run Lake, but never at the Elkhorn Lakes. Plus, Piney Run is just a beautiful, inviting lake to look at with lily pads and wading birds. You seldom see any algae scum on Piney Run Lake as you do at the Elkhorn Lakes. On October 2nd, I compared the clarity of the Elkhorn Lakes with Piney Run Lake. In Lake Elkhorn, the Sewell's Lakes, and Jackson Pond, you could only see down a foot or two, putting them in the very poor category as shown in this graph. At 9 feet of clarity, Piney Run Lake was 4 times cleaner. While this simple test is only an indicator, it does reflect the differences people can see, which either says to them, this lake is clean or not so much. Elkhorn Lake looks so unappealing because of the entry of an excessive amount of nutrients. The nutrient phosphorus has the greatest impact on lake quality. The first step in enhancing Elkhorn Lakes is to reduce phosphorus inputs. Once this goal is achieved, the practices presented in the paper on the right can then be employed to accelerate lake recovery. In the next 11 slides, I'll present the Alliance plan to make Elkhorn waters more child-safe and enjoyable, which could be a model for enhancing all other Howard County lakes and streams. The top bar in this graph indicates that 1,000 pounds of phosphorus would enter Lake Elkhorn if there were no water quality protection measures. To set the stage for lake recovery, we need to reduce the phosphorus inflow by about half, or 500 pounds a year. Here you can see an example of specific options for achieving this goal. The Alliance is calling on Howard County to verify that cutting phosphorus loads in half through these options will set the stage for more child-safe and enjoyable Elkhorn lakes. If successful, this pilot project could be applied to all other Howard County lakes. These same options would greatly improve our streams as well. The least costly and quickest phosphorus reduction option is enhancing each of the 133 existing Elkhorn watershed stormwater best management practices, or BMPs. 2.5 years ago, the Alliance found that up to half of these BMPs could be and should have been enhanced. Since then, only 2 have been enhanced. I'll describe these 2 in a bit. Here are the most common stormwater BMPs. Ponds are the most numerous. Infiltration and bioretention BMPs are the most effective, as shown in the graph. Infiltration bioretention BMPs allow runoff from buildings, streets, and lawns to soak through filter media or into the soil. Infiltration bioretention BMPs also maintain essential high-quality groundwater inflow into streams and lakes during dry weather. Ponds do not. As shown in this graph, no other option provides as great a reduction in phosphorus pollution as enhancing the 133 existing Elkhorn BMPs. But at this time, Howard County appears to lack the personnel and resources to identify and carry out these enhancements. This is why the Alliance is calling upon the County Executive and the Howard County Council to provide a mandate with sufficient funding to correct this situation. Here is the first of 2 examples of how existing BMPs can be enhanced. Both enhancements were done at the insistence of the Alliance. An infiltration basin is designed to store 90% of all runoff until it can soak into the grass and soils on the basin floor. The Carriage House Lane infiltration basin had this 6-inch hole at the base of the concrete spillway. The opening allowed runoff and the entrained pollutants to quickly flow into a nearby stream. The Alliance convinced the county to install this $40 plug, which increased pollution trapping from 0% to 85%. Here you see a bioretention BMP near Windbell Way in Lake Elkhorn. The illustration shows that runoff is stored on the surface of the bioretention BMP until it can soak down through 2 to 4 feet of bioretention filter soil, where up to 85% of pollutants are removed. The filtered runoff then flows down into underlying soils to recharge groundwater and maintain dry weather inflow to nearby streams. This photo of the Windbell Way bioretention BMP was taken in 2023 and shows the top of a gravel trench. The gravel extended down to the perforated underdrain pipe, so instead of passing through bioretention filter soil, where 85% of pollutants would be trapped, runoff quickly flowed through the gravel, where 0% of the pollutants were retained. We brought this to the attention of the Columbia Association, which is responsible for this BMP. The association quickly removed the gravel and replaced it with a required bioretention filter soil. Though other enhancements are still needed, this action on the part of the Columbia Association transformed this BMP from one that trapped little pollution to one capable of keeping 85% of nutrients and toxics out of lakes and streams. The preceding were but two examples of how existing Elkhorn BMPs must be enhanced if lakes and streams are to be restored. While these two improvements cost relatively little, this may not always be the case. Some of the other options shown here will definitely be more costly, though cheap when compared to the public benefits of cleaner lakes and streams. This is why we must provide Howard County with the public support essential to aggressively pursuing these lake and stream enhancement opportunities. Now for the aligned strategy. To mobilize the public support, Howard County officials need to implement the enhancement plan. It is our Howard County elected officials who most need our support to make the Elkhorn Pilot Project a model for enhancing all our degraded lakes and streams. Fortunately, the county executive and the county council are up for re-election this next year. This is a perfect time for incumbents and other candidates to announce new pilot programs, such as making Elkhorn waters more child-safe and enjoyable. So, is it possible that the 17,000 Elkhorn watershed residents, who constitute just 5% of the Howard County population, can influence the next election? Well, consider this. In 2022, one of the sitting county council members won their primary election by just 239 votes. Another won the general election with just 1,284 votes, a small fraction of the 17,000 Elkhorn watershed residents. And of those 17,000 Elkhorn residents, 11,000 are registered to vote. As you will see in the next few slides, the Alliance is confident we can convince a large portion of these voters to urge candidates to support the Making Elkhorn Waters More Child-Safe and Enjoyable pilot project as a success. Last June, we conducted a test to gauge potential voter support for cleaner Elkhorn waters. We mailed the letter on the left to 200 voters living in the Elkhorn watershed. However, these were not just any voters. We focused on those voters who participated in all 8 of the most recent elections. These super voters tend to play an outsized role in determining who wins elections, especially primaries like the one set for next June 23rd. The super voters were asked to sign the online petition on the right to show their support for making Elkhorn waters more child-safe and enjoyable. Since savvy elected officials know it's easy to get people to sign a petition, and most will have forgotten what they signed in a week or two, we asked the super voters to explain why they signed. These explanations show signers care deeply about the issue and are likely to remember how their elected official acted on the issue come the next election. This extra step magnifies petition impact by tenfold. The typical response rate for direct mail appeal like this is 1% at best. The Alliance test got an amazing 17% response. There are 1,116 super voters in the Elkhorn watershed. We just mailed the letter to another 500 Elkhorn super voters. If you recall, in 2022, one sitting council member won by just 239 votes and another by 1,284 votes. So if a large percentage of super voters base their choices next June on candidate support for Elkhorn restoration, then we could influence who wins the 2 council seats representing the watershed and possibly countywide races as well. While the Alliance does not plan on endorsing candidates, we will be urging watershed residents to ask candidates if they will support the Elkhorn pilot project if elected. These questions will be posed at forums and other places where candidates appeal. The Alliance will then let our hundreds, perhaps thousands of petition signers know which candidates support cleaner lakes and streams. We'll do this 2 weeks before the June 23rd primary and again just before the November 3rd general election. We suspect that candidate support for cleaner lakes and streams will be a factor considered by many petition signers when casting their vote. This brings the presentation to an end. If you would like to learn more about the Alliance and this pilot project for enhancing all Howard County lakes and streams, view the 20-minute narrated presentation at ceds.org/ElkhornPPT. For further detail on making neighborhood waters more child-safe and enjoyable, go to this webpage at ceds.org/childsafewaters. You can also download this 2-page fact sheet at ceds.org/childsafewatersfs. And if you would like to assess stormwater BMPs in your area for enhancement opportunities, download these and other fact sheets at ceds.org/BMP. And last but not least, please sign our petition at ceds.org/ElkhornCleanWaters. At this point, I'll turn things back over to Pat. Thank you for this opportunity.